Hi everyone, it's Loneliness Awareness Week and a time more than ever for us to talk about how loneliness can impact our mental well-being. Loneliness can be embarrassing for some people to admit, because it almost says if you're lonely, the kind of common idea about that would be that you don't have any friends, which can feel embarrassing to talk about. Or even to admit to our own selves that we don't have somebody to turn to, because it almost suggests that there's something wrong with me if I was to say that. We all feel lonely from time to time, even when we're surrounded by people that we care about. Loneliness usually sets in when we aren't getting our needs met through other people. Human beings are social creatures. It's important for us to have connection with others, and sometimes when that connection isn't fulfilling our needs, loneliness can set in. When loneliness happens frequently, it can really affect how well we feel mentally, emotionally. The obvious answer might be that we just need to reach out to other people, but I can understand that in many situations that's not always easy. Sometimes we wait for the other person to make the first move, or to reach out, to phone or to text, but it can be quite uncomfortable for us to do that, especially if we feel that our previous communications have gone unanswered. Of course, there are online chat rooms and forums and groups that we can join where we can speak to people who share our interests and our hobbies. To avoid overwhelming loneliness, we need to think about how we can self-care so that we don't necessarily depend on others to fix a need within ourselves that we have missing. So how can we nurture ourselves when there's nobody around that we can depend on for whatever reason? Have you ever thought about writing a letter to yourself? Maybe for you to open up in a year's time or 5 years' time, talking to yourself and nurturing yourself and writing about how you're feeling today and what your hopes are for the future. Using art materials to express yourself. What about sending a letter to a relative who you haven't seen for a while, or who lives in another area or another country? And in that way, you perhaps are reaching out to somebody else who feels lonely and who misses you. A really famous poem by William Wordsworth called "I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud" talks about how being alone doesn't have to be lonely. A moment of being alone can provide so much opportunity, an opportunity to get to know yourself better, but also your surroundings. In that poem, William Wordsworth talks about his observations of the flowers and the skies and the rivers, and that whenever he's alone on his couch, that it's those visions that come to him when he's alone. This is something that I practice as well, that when I'm having trouble sleeping, or I'm quite stressed out and I need to relax, I do actually visualize things like ocean scenes and mountains and fields, and that helps to relax me and to make me feel less lonely or occupied by my problems. So being alone can provide a massive opportunity for us to self-nurture. And what's important that we do, if we ever feel distressed when we're alone, rather than being caught up in that moment of overwhelming anxious feelings, to be able to divert our attention through other ways is going to help us to overcome that feeling. You could have amazing friends, you could have lots of friends, but still feel lonely because there is something there that's not being met within you. So talking about that with somebody, particularly a counsellor or an adult, can really help you to identify what it is, what is that need and what's missing, so that you can try to meet that need independently of any other person. So I hope this video has helped you, and make sure you drop your comments below around ways in which you can overcome loneliness and the things that you do for other people who are experiencing it. So have a great week, and I will see you soon.